Welcome to Game of Roses. I'm Chad Colchin. Some breaking news has happened in the Tyler Francis children's story. The mother of Tyler Francis's three children has dropped not one, not two, not three, not four, but 5 Instagram reels tonight explaining her side of the story. We know, of course, that Tyler Francis has these 3 children with her. Her name is Bri Thomas. And we've been covering this story for the past week or so. Bri has been dropping certain videos, certain still images of Tyler with her kids, essentially contradicting the story he was telling on the screen to Ashley Adonser, saying that he spent Christmas alone and that these kids didn't know what he looked like, is what he told her. But there were pictures to the contrary, where the children were in the pictures, looking at him in some cases, seemingly to understand what they were looking at. So I'm just going to go through all 5 of these. I have not yet watched these. Let's see what Bri has to say. Start with the first one. We'll go in order.
So unfortunately, I think it's time that I come out and say my side of the story.
Looks like the comments have been turned off on all of these, by the way.
I wrote some notes down that I'm going to read. One, because I'm nervous. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a shy person. I am a private person. I do not like all of my business out in the world for everyone to see and know, but that is just the situation that we're in right now, out of my control.
And this is something I think a lot of people don't think about when they go into reality TV, into any of these games, really. Bachelors like this, Love is Blind, any of these shows where you can become super famous, at least for a moment. I don't know. Let's see what Tyler Francis's Instagram numbers are actually at. I don't think he's like at an influencer level just yet, but obviously this is the most watched show on Netflix right now. Everyone is talking about this. Everybody knows about this scandal. He's at 37.9, so he's not super famous, but the show is. And attention is then put on him and the lies he's telling about these children. So now Bri Thomas feels like she has to come out to at least set the record straight, because who knows if Netflix is ever going to do that. And that's kind of the big thing we're all watching this season to see, at least I am, is at that reunion, are they going to make Tyler Francis answer for any of this? And will the producers take any responsibility for not helping Ashley along the way know about any of this story? All right. Sorry. My diatribe is over. Here we go.
But I feel like it's important, in order for me to move on from this and to clear everything up, that I state the truth. So there was a time in which Tyler was one of my best friends. Even now, he's still the father of my 3 beautiful children. And considering that my intent here is not to bash Tyler, however, as a mother, I'm compelled to defend my babies and myself, and attempt to protect them from a narrative that just must end. A narrative that is not only purely inaccurate, but unfair to my children and myself. So with that being said,
yeah, like, I don't know if he was aware of like what he's possibly doing to these kids when he says on a TV show that they don't even know what he looks like and he's not in their lives and stuff, but he clearly is. You know, imagine the burden he has now put on Bri Thomas to explain to her kids, like, oh, it's just a TV show. Your dad's making stuff up. I don't even know how you would explain it.
Here it is. So unfortunately, I think it's time that I come out and say my side of the story.
We got to go on to video number 2 now. Here we go.
Okay. In regards to our oldest child, Cairo, Tyler was initially only supposed to be helping me and my ex-wife. He was helping us conceive. It was understood that Tyler was not supposed to assume a father role in Kai's life, hence my ex-wife's name being on the birth certificate. Shortly prior to me giving birth to Cairo, my ex-wife left me and moved back to her home state of California. She flew back for Kai's birth, packed the rest of her things, and then moved back to California. My ex-wife and I originally planned and agreed to co-parent as best as we could across the country. But things were very, very rocky for us. Soon after, my ex-wife petitioned the court for full custody of Cairo. It was then that things started to shift Tyler as my best friend, was there for me, helping me through this extremely, extremely tough time in my life. And for that, I'll always be thankful for him, and I wouldn't change a thing. Suddenly, one day I received a text from Tyler, and he asked me if I would be okay with him being a father to Cairo, because he did not want Cairo to be raised by a single mother as he had. So we spoke about this. We had a deep discussion about what that would mean for him to be stepping up as a father to Cairo, and what it would look like as far as financial responsibility, helping out, being an active parent in his life.
So here we're getting a couple of interesting things are happening here. Bri Thomas is saying she's not trying to bash Tyler at all. She's just trying to set the record straight. And she even comes out here and says there was this moment when her ex-wife was leaving her that Tyler stepped in and helped her out tremendously, and that she wouldn't change that moment for the world. So she is painting him in a light that it's not completely vilifying him, but also, I mean, he's doing the vilifying himself, really. It's him telling Ashley Adonser that he has no role in these children's lives and they don't know even what he looks like. Yet here we're getting the information, and I believe that this is the true story, that he asked to be a father, at least to the first child here, Cairo. So clearly he's just straight lying to Ashley. And will any of this come out in the finale? That's what we're all waiting to see. I can't imagine it won't, but they've already shot it. The finale is shot, by the way, shot last weekend. So we're just waiting for it to air now.
Being present.
So all of these videos that are coming out will have no effect on what the producers might have asked any of these players, Tyler included.
And after much thought and consideration, I agreed to this proposition from Tyler. Since that moment when Cairo, Tyler has been considered to be and has acted as a father to Cairo.
Wow. Okay, so we're only 2 videos in. We got 3 more of these to get through. But here you have it. I mean, this is, in my opinion, this is 100% proof that Tyler is lying in every possible way to Ashley, other than I have 3 children. He has said he is not in their lives in any way. They don't know what he looks like. And here we have this proof, essentially, that he has not only been a part of their lives, but wanted to be their father, wanted to, at least Cairo, at least this first child.
All right. So now as far as the twins, unlike Cairo, the twins were simply unplanned. If that needs to be spelled out for some people, Callie and Kamari are the results of natural, unplanned intercourse with absolutely no complexity surrounding parentage.
So he said he was essentially a sperm donor. They were having some kind of a sexual relationship at the very least, if not a romantic one. Maybe they were dating. I don't know. Maybe we'll get the rest of that. But so that also contradicts exactly what he told Ashley, that he was just helping out a couple. They weren't even a couple when the twins were conceived, at least. They being her and her ex-wife. So there was no couple to be helping out unless he was talking about himself. Is he helping out the couple he's in?
They were conceived before Cairo turned 1, and I fully admit, I have not always been the most comfortable with that truth, due to the fact that I've lived the majority of my life as a lesbian.
Wow.
Nonetheless, it is exactly that, the truth. Tyler.
It's incredible what she is doing in these videos. I mean, the amount of courage that it would take to do any of this, let alone to have something like this where she's talking about how she's not been comfortable with her kind of own sexual identity, where it starts to bleed over into whatever this relationship was with Tyler, because it kind of contradicts how she has led the rest of her life. These documents that she is creating are absolutely incredible in terms of reality TV history, specifically, obviously, where it relates to this season of Love is Blind. But the fact that you have a player like Tyler who goes into this experience, and who knows what his motives were. I think every person that goes into a reality show, especially a dating one, might be open to finding love and all of that, but that isn't your primary goal. Your primary goal, usually, I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody. Everybody's on a spectrum, obviously, of completely for the right reasons to completely for the wrong reasons. Most people are somewhere in between, but everybody is at least aware of the fact that if you go into the biggest reality dating show on Netflix, you can get famous from it. It may open up other opportunities to go on to Perfect Match or other reality shows or whatever. Just be a part of the Netflix reality universe, you know? He had to have been aware of that. And to see now somebody like Bri Thomas gets pulled into this without consent, without wanting this to happen, and she's creating these documents that essentially contradict everything he's trying to do as a player in Love is Blind. So now this is very much becoming a part of the game itself. We know Love is Blind Season 7 was shot almost a year ago, so whatever Tyler did as a player in that game is done, but he now has to contend with this, and it might have been out, this story might have come out in time to affect the finale, which is really the final moment as a player that you have on the stage. The after the final rose and Bachelor, the reunions, you know, the finales, that type of thing. And what she is doing in these videos and what she has been doing for the past week or so, little more than, I guess, with all of the different pictures and coming out and telling her side of the story, really is affecting the game from outside of it. It's fascinating.
Was there with me the entire way, extremely supportive. We went to doctor's appointments together. We even were living together. He was there throughout my entire pregnancy, at the time of the delivery, and
they were living together. He was helping her. I mean, how does he think that he can go into this show? This is something I coach players to go into reality shows all the time. This is something I tell all of them. If there is something in your past that you don't want to come out, you should not do this show, because the best case scenario of going into a show like this is you do make it all the way to the end. You become a main character. Maybe you get some Instagram numbers out of that, some TikTok numbers, and maybe that launches an influencer career or a reality TV star career. That's the best case scenario. If that happens, everything about your past will come out. And if you've got something like this where you have 3 children, and the nature of the relationship with those children's mother, you're presenting it one way and it's clearly a different way, that will be found out. No one told him this, I assume, or he didn't know it. It's staggering to me that in this era of reality television, especially with something like Love is Blind, which is gigantic, and if you know anything about it, every season there's at least 1 or 2 players who have something about their past, or something comes out that kind of wrecks them and turns them into a giant villain. Maybe he's never seen the show, I don't know, but it's staggering to me that he thought this level of secrecy would be maintained through the course of this.
Throughout my entire stay in the hospital after birth, he signed the birth certificates, he cut the umbilical cords.
Oh my God.
Yeah. His mom and sister came and visited me in the hospital.
That was another thing that came out this past week. There was a TikToker named... I'm so sorry, I blank on the name of this TikToker, but she released all of these. She did kind of a deep dive into Tyler's mother's Instagram and found a bunch of different pictures of Tyler with the kids, and she's commenting on them. Look how beautiful my grandbabies are. So it even kind of extended the universe further, showing you that the story really is that Tyler and even his mother were pretty involved in these kids' lives.
Visited us in the hospital after the twins were born, etc. Again, there has never been any confusion or additional context surrounding the twins' origin. We left the hospital as parents of 3 children. Tyler and I, as I already said, we lived together for over a year in an attempt to give the kids a 2-parent household, with the understanding that we were still gonna be dating other people. Yeah.
Okay. So we're through. Was that 2 or 3? I forget now. Hang on.
All right. So now, as far as the twins.
Yeah, that was part 3. So we have 2 more videos to go through. To the other thing I was saying about being on the spectrum of for the right reasons to for the wrong reasons. Let's say that he is totally for the right reasons and he's just made some horrible missteps and did these lies because he thought the truth would be worse in terms of trying to build his relationship with Ashley. Let's say that he really did fall in love with her and really does want to be with her. Then why would you ever lie about this stuff? I have to imagine his reasoning for lying was to present an image of himself, that he knew he was on TV. This is just my conjecture. I don't know this by any means, but this is what it seems like to me. It seems like he wanted to present a certain kind of character on the TV show. And unfortunately, that's not possible to do anymore. You can't keep these kinds of secrets in the modern media era because the people who are involved in the truth of those secrets will make Instagram reels. And that's what this boils down to.
Yeah. So, as I already implied with that, I will say Tyler and I have never officially been together. We never truly dated. But we had these kids and we were raising these kids together. We were co-parenting these children together. And we were legit, or I felt like we were best friends.
This is brutal. So what must it be like for Bri Thomas to see him on the show say that these kids don't even know what he looks like? It's just crushing. It's absolutely crushing. And to know that, reality TV for the most part is a lie anyway. But to see someone lying in the context of this bigger lie, which is like the show is about helping people find love. Clearly it's not. I can't imagine psychologically what it does to somebody like Bri Thomas. And to be frank, her making these videos is one of the boldest kind of civilian plays that I've ever seen in response to some kind of a lie being told in a reality show.
I truly hate that I had to provide an explanation in hopes of defending myself and my children. I just could not continue to sit back and allow what was being said about me and the kids to continue on and just be lied on and just sit here. What's further upsetting is that Tyler was at my house the day before he left for this show. He came to see the kids. He came to say goodbye. I wished him luck.
What?
So this is why it's just very hard for me to understand.
What? That's a bombshell. He was with them the day before he left to shoot Love is Blind. So he's with his children. He is with the mother of his children. 24 hours later, he's in a pod with Ashley, not bringing up any of this. And then when it finally comes out, after the honeymoon, after they rotate back to DC and they're living together, he brings it up. I have 3 kids, but they're sperm donation only. They don't know what I look like. I'm not a father to them. This is unreal. He was with them the day before he went in. I just can't imagine how he thought this wouldn't come out. This is absolutely insane.
What happened. The kids even sent him a video on his birthday last year while he was in the pods.
What? What? He was getting videos from his children while shooting the show and lying that they don't know what he looks like. Again, this information is coming out now. It wasn't out in time for the shooting of the reunion, but I think the story was, though. I think the story that it wasn't all adding up, that he was played a bigger part in these children's lives than he was leading Ashley to believe. I think that story was out enough that they will at least ask him about that in the reunion. Hopefully. This is absolutely insane, though. He was with them the day before he went in. They were sending him videos while he was in the pods. This is absolutely insane.
Wishing him a happy birthday. So in my head, there was a chance he was going to find love. I wished this for him. I just did not think that meant that he would neglect his children. After Tyler got back from Mexico, he reached out to me. He let me know he was alive. It wasn't until I began asking him when he was going to see the kids that I started to notice something was off. I let him know that the kids missed him. I told him, I updated him on like their lives. But I could tell things were off. He kept giving excuses as to why he couldn't see them. And then one day I noticed that he deleted his Facebook, which is where all the pictures that he would post of the kids, and him with the kids.
So he knew, but okay, so back from the honeymoon is when he contacts Bri Thomas. So that's when he and Ashley are living together in DC. He knows at that point that he is in deep on this lie, and he's got to start cleaning up his digital footprint. So he tries to delete his Facebook. Unfortunately, it's like there are other people involved, dude. This is one of the wildest stories in reality TV, certainly in Love is Blind history. And the fact that, you know, producers, I think, will take no responsibility in this, but it's like there are so many people who are getting screwed over by Tyler in this. Obviously Bri Thomas, obviously her children, his children, but also Ashley. Ashley, I think it is reasonable for a person going into a situation like Love is Blind to assume that the producers have properly vetted the people they are putting you in these pods with, in these situations with. And Renee Pochet from season 5, I believe, had a lawsuit against them because they put her in a situation with a guy she didn't feel safe with once they got to the honeymoon phase. She went on, I believe, a podcast and talked about this. They then sued her for $4 million. So these are the kind of people you're dealing with when you're talking about the people that make these shows. It's just wild. This situation is absolutely insane.
That's where all the pictures were. And once I saw that he deleted his Facebook, I instantly knew what he was doing.
Yeah.
And I was completely heartbroken for my children. I thought everything was okay between us. I never imagined or thought that he would attempt to disown our kids. We even discussed me and the kids possibly being at the wedding prior to him leaving, if he had made it that far. So it's honestly...
I mean, like, why lie about it? If on this end, if Bri and the kids are like, we want you to go in there and find love, we want to be at the wedding, if they're all cool with it, why lie about it? The only thing I can think is he wanted to present a certain image, a certain type of guy, either to Ashley or whoever might have been in the pods, or to the cameras, to us, the fourth audience, the people, you know, at home watching. I'm not quite sure the proper motivation for this lie, but he at a certain point was just in too deep, and I think, you know, felt like he couldn't get around it. So then he comes out of it and he has to delete his Facebook. I mean, this is wild.
Just all really surreal. I was and continue to be completely disappointed by all this, and how he was ignoring my requests for help with the children and like just seeing them. So I decided, and I continue to fight for all the back child support that he owes me. I filed for contempt of court, and that is ongoing. And also, out of disappointment, I also filed to change the twins' last names so that they could all have the same last name.
Okay, we have one more video here. Wow, so there's back payment that he owes them as well. I don't know what the total is. I saw some numbers floating around the internet, 30,000, 80,000. I don't know. I don't know what the actual number is. Maybe she'll illuminate that here. But so there is this legal consequence too. So now when you're thinking about if you're Ashley, it's not just that he's lied about his relationship with his own children. It's not that he has withheld this information from you and not given it fully to you either until this point where you're already in love with him and already like, okay, we got to do this. But now there's this financial component to it, which is, I mean, we've seen multiple relationships on Love is Blind get to that financial talk and then like things fall apart. And so he's withheld that as well, that he's possibly on the hook for a significant amount of money to pay child support to these children that he has now ghosted.
I want to add, in fairness, I understand that there is an argument to suggest that despite him wanting and accepting the role as Kai's dad, that maybe he doesn't or shouldn't have any responsibility for Cairo. While I and the courts at this point disagree, I respect this argument. However, there's nothing and absolutely no context that exists that would suggest the same for the twins. With that, Tyler hasn't spoken to or seen the kids since September 30th of 2023. That was the day before he left for this show. And that's why I'm so beyond hurt and angry with him about all of this.
That's unreal. So his own children, he has just completely abandoned in favor of this reality TV show, in favor of fame, in favor of potentially pursuing a real relationship with Ashley Donser. We don't know how much that factors into it, but at the very least, he went into the pods. You lose communication there, per the show, obviously. Comes out of the pods, comes back from the honeymoon, gets his phone back. I'm okay, blah, 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 but doesn't say I fell in love with anybody, doesn't say I'm going to get married, and literally deletes his Facebook and never speaks to his children again.
Because it just didn't have to be this way. It shouldn't be this way. I completely supported his decision to go on this show.
That's the weirdest part to me. It fully puts the desire, or at least his motivation to lie, on him and his idea of potentially like what type of a person he might be portrayed as on the show. Or he thought that, Ashley wouldn't like him, or whoever he was talking to in the pods wouldn't like him if they knew the whole truth of this, which is also like wild, because if you're going to start a relationship with somebody that leads to marriage, they're going to find this out eventually. You can't like keep this a secret forever. So to even if it has nothing to do with fame or like the perceived character that he's trying to play on this show, just that idea alone, that like I will keep this dark secret from the person that I've married forever, that I ghosted my children, deleted my Facebook. I mean, it's absurd. You obviously can't keep that secret. So I feel like, I don't know, this is just my 2 cents. My analysis is that it had way more to do with what he thought his character would be presented in the show than it did with almost anything else.
I wanted him to find love. I wanted him to find happiness. I just didn't think that involved disowning his kids in any way. I can't wrap my head around why he felt the best way to do that would be to cut off the kids, then to make matters worse, lie on national television and
international,
say they're merely sperm babies and they don't know what he looks like.
In his defense, he didn't call them sperm babies. He said he did sperm donation. Ashley Donser then was the one who said these sperm babies or whatever. But yes, don't know what he looks like. So I think that phrase that he said to Ashley, and also that the producers chose to cut in, I don't fault them for that though. That was a wild moment. But you have to wonder, did they know in that moment that he was lying? I tend to think they did. I tend to think that they knew all of this and that they might have cast him specifically because of it. I don't know. Those are just my thoughts, I suppose. But it seems like that moment is then what spurred Bri Thomas to be like, all right, you're going to say they don't know what you look like? I'm going to tell the whole story. And she alluded to this in a series of Instagram slides, stories, I think 2 or 3 days ago. She came out and basically said, you better clear all this up or I will tell everyone everything. And this seems like that.
Yeah, that it all hurts. I understand this is for everyone's entertainment, but this is our real lives. It sucks. It really sucks. But if the intent here was to protect me and the children, although I appreciate that,
it wasn't though. How would essentially distancing yourself, ghosting your own children, how would that protect them? It would be different if he came out of this process and said all this shit on TV and then immediately went to Bri and the kids and was like, look, I had to say some stuff on there and I'm sorry for all of that, but I'm here. I'm your dad. I'm in your lives. He didn't do that. He's ghosted them for a year.
As their mother, I feel like the best way to do that would have been to maybe not speak about children at all on the show.
Sure. Agreed.
My brain does not understand how going on the show on national television and denouncing them to burn babies is protecting them.
Agreed.
And with this, my heart is truly completely broken for my children and for myself. I lost my best friend. My children have been disowned and at this point disrespected by their father. I just pray every single day that they don't grow up and see any of this, and just ready for it all to be over.
But they will see it all. At a certain point, you're going to get curious and Google your dad. The fact that he was on Love is Blind, he was in this big scandal. That will be, even when these kids get old enough to like go online and start figuring things out, let's say that's another 8-ish years, 8 to 10 years maybe. This will be easily findable. And I think, of course, they will have curiosity about it. I think there's no way you can keep these kids from finding this out. I think he's done incredible damage to probably all their lives.
And praying that at some point I start getting the financial support that I feel like we are owed.
Damn. So that's it. Bri Thomas. An incredible series of videos here released by Bri to explain the entire truth of Tyler Francis and his kids. You know, what the nature of that relationship was, what the nature of the relationship was with Bri Thomas, the revelation that he was with his family the day before he left, and then after he came out of the show, he had minimal contact with them, only through text messages saying that he was out. Then he deleted his Facebook page and never spoke to them again, is absolutely insane. I don't know if Ashley married him or not. We're going to find that out this Wednesday night. And then after that marriage, if let's say they do get together, all of this is coming out now. She's had to contend with all of this, I assume, at least in the past couple of weeks, if not prior to it. Who knows what he's told her. But this is absolutely astounding media. And I think it, you know, in an era where we're going through these reality shows right now, and The Bachelor, Bachelorette, Gen Trans, Bachelorette season 21 recently concluded with a player named Devin Strader winning her ring. And then all of this stuff came out about him having restraining orders against him and burning them in the middle of the street, harassing his ex-girlfriend. That put a lot of pressure, I think, on the fandom of that show. And you're starting to see it in the Golden Bachelorette ratings. They're not great. They're way lower than I think they wanted them to be. And it might have something to do with programming them on a Wednesday night opposite Survivor. But I personally got a lot of DMs after that Gen Trans season saying I can never watch Bachelor again because you can't trust the producers. They don't vet these people, or maybe they do, and they put these people on the show anyway. That the idea of these shows are a safe space to help foster loving relationships is just blown out of the water when you get somebody like that on the show. Now you go to Golden Bachelorette. There are 2 guys on that show who've had restraining order problems. One of them is now in the final 4, and we'll see how far he gets coming up this next week. Now you have Love is Blind, and all of this is coming out about Tyler, one of the front runners, one of the people who is still in a relationship, one of only 3 going into the weddings this week, and all of this is coming out. And I think the burden that this is putting on the audience to stick with these shows when the producers continually drop the ball in casting is getting like a little too much to bear. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to do overall to the franchise. I don't know what the franchise's reaction to this will be. I can only assume it will be to deny that they ever knew anything about it, sweep it under the rug, move on to the next season. That's usually what they do. But I can't thank Bri Thomas enough for putting up these videos. And it's clear that she didn't want to have to do this, but she felt like she needed to because of what Tyler was saying in the show. And also what the producers are cutting into the show. I personally think the producers bear some of this responsibility as well. All that said, thank you for joining me. If any more news about this situation comes out, I will be covering it right here on Game of Roses. I hope everybody enjoys this week's weddings on Love is Blind. And then the following week, we're going to have that finale reunion show where maybe they're going to ask Tyler about this stuff. Maybe they're not. Who knows? But thanks for joining me.